We're now going to turn to kind of where asset integrity is going. I think you've been around for the last year. We had this goal of a further 50% reduction, and that drives a certain set of behaviours. In a world, as Andy said, one hydrocarbon release is one too many. So trying to reduce a number from 97 to 40 odd is actually the wrong target. It's how do you learn from every one that happens, and how do you have the right environment for succeeding. There's no silver bullet, and we've seen where SAIDI, joint-up thinking, and human factors have a role to play in that. And that broader context of moving away from this numbers game and having a much more meaningful asset integrity approach within step change is where we're at. And now I've thankfully got Alan Chesterman and Alan Johnston, who are going to give us a roadmap of where we've been, where we're going, and perhaps how you can step up and play your part in that.
So my name's Alan Chesterman. I'm the Apache member on the Step Change Leadership Team. This is what I'm going to talk about this morning. Not very many slides. I'm afraid they're rather boring and engineering-like. So I'll start with a background, and then really, I'm a new co-chair with Alan here. I'm going to be doing the presentation today. We've been kind of taking stock of what's been happening in the asset integrity front over the last year or two, and thinking about where it should go moving forward. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, and then the activities that we've come up with moving forward, and the leadership, how we're going to break it down and put the resources against those activities. And this is all about a challenge of, how do you do something meaningful across industry work group? It's not, I've been working a number of these things over the years, it's not an easy thing to do. There are lots of opinions, it's very complex, so you've got to kind of figure out what are you going to do that's actually going to make a difference, because you can't do everything. So I think it's worth taking a look at, just backing up to what is the Asset Integrity Steering Group, and where do we fit in Step Change. So there's this cross-industry organisation called Step Change. Les is down here as a Step Change support team leader. It's made up of guys who are basically volunteered by their companies, and it's managed by the Step Change leadership team, which has like 30, 40 people on it. As I said, I'm the Apache guy. How do we actually make things happen and make a difference? We're broken down into a number of work groups. And so we have the Asset Integrity Steering Group, which is the one that I've come in and taken over working with Alan Johnson from AMAC. We have the Helicopter Safety Steering Group. We have Competence and Human Factors, and we have Workforce Engagement. These are our main things we're working on at the moment, with Les and his team supporting the efforts. I actually have been on 3 of these now, so I was on competence at one time. I've got a passion about competence and people offshore, so it's interesting to see that coming out today. I was in the HSSG, and now I've moved over to Asset Integrity. So we've been taking stock, and as was mentioned earlier, there is an upturn in the number of leaks. And you can see that, and the HSE wrote to everybody in November and said, what are you doing about it? Company, duty holder, what are you doing about that increasing trend of leaks? And we've seen a model plan of one operator has done already. So HSE's compiled that report. There's a report, and it's kind of got, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so that's available. In addition to that, there's an general intent to focus not only on leaks, but broaden out into this is really a subset of management of major accident hazards. So there are other things than leaks that can cause you major accidents. And so we do need to think long term beyond that. But the HSE has really pointed to the key issue right now, which is this increasing trend of leaks. And really our activities moving forward are going to build on what our operators doing to implement and take actions out on their installations to reduce the number of leaks. So that's a really important theme. So when I came in and working with Alan over the last 3 or 4 months, we looked at what was already happening and took stock of that and figured out, right, where do we need to focus on moving forward? So the chap earlier said, I'll just look at my notes here, but he was talking about how complex it all is. Yes, it is very complicated, but if you're going to make a difference in a cross-industry work group, you can't work on everything. You've got to pick your battles and put your efforts into that, into things that are actually going to make a difference. You just can't do everything. And then things develop over time. So I think that's a theme, is trying to focus down and focus on action that will make a difference. The other thing that strikes me, now I've been 30 odd years in this business, is that most of the issues, we already know what they are. They happen again and again and again and again. Control of work and isolations and corrosion and small bore fittings, most of the things that happen, they've already happened before. What's happening, and Tanya talked about this, is that the systems that you're using to manage them, the equipment and the people and the procedures are being eroded over time. And so we do know a lot of the things that are happening already, and that's built into where we're moving this as we move forward. So where we're moving towards is, so those are all the things we're looking at before, where to focus on technical authorities. The other thing we had was we've learned from some of the other work groups. So I came from HSSG, and we had some meetings, and we're trying to get things done and take action, and we've got 50 people in the room. And this is fine today because we're communicating today. When you're trying to get something done, how do you get anything done with 50 people in a room? So what we've found works is having small groups of people who want to make a difference and having projects and milestones and so on. So we're very much bringing a project mentality, and people in the work groups who are small, who want to be there, they want to make a difference, they want to get actions done, and when the action's done, we move on and we do something else or we shut it down. So very much action-oriented. And the other reason for showing that previous slide about step change is that we've got common themes with some of the other groups. So we want to stay connected with other groups and make sure, we've got human factors guys involved in what we're doing. We're working with the joint thinking team. So we're not repeating things, and we've got joint teams working on targeted deliverables. So having said all that, well, one other thing I want to mention was, and I see this all the time in my business, we love to focus on output measures. Every day we sit down and I look at production and safety and a number of trips, slips and falls and integrity incidents or whatever. This plan is moving more towards what are the inputs, what are the things that we're doing that we turn the volume up on that or on that, and that's going to make the leaks come down. So it's very much focused on activities and plans. But stepping back from that, before we got into activities, we said, well, what is this group actually about? And I don't think there's really anything new here. So we haven't got a target here to make 50% or whatever, but our goal is to, and we're a cross-industry work group, we're about prevention and management of major accident hazards and promoting that and getting better at it. And our objectives are to promote and support efforts to reduce the number of releases, to help maintain integrity in compliance with performance standards, and to promote application of best practice. So that's what the group is about. And what activities, so the next one is, these are the activities that we're going to focus on moving forward. So the first is to recognise and build on the fact that the health and safety executive has already written to every duty holder operator in the North Sea and said, what are you doing about your leaks? So every company should have a plan or a list of actions like the one that Andy just showed that says, this is what we're doing about it. So we're going to, as an industry, we're going to have a work group that is going to focus on what are those plans. Let's share those plans. What's missing? Do they have the people part of it missing? Is the human factors part of it missing? Is this guy doing that better than that guy? So we can help companies to do better, put together better plans, and then implement them. And so by implementing those actions, the number of leaks should come down, just like Andy was saying. So we're going to get in behind that effort. The second is to identify and promote best practice and KPIs. Now we see, by getting people together and looking at different plans, you're looking there at what other people are doing and saying, we've got KPIs for this. This is what's in a good plan. That material that you're looking at, supporting an improvement plan, is the very stuff of best practice. The next one, so it's the people side. And this is building on with John Forrest. There he is. So this has been done before. So John and Petrofac put together a piece about process safety, what's it about, how do you do it, and what we want to do is we want to build on that and refresh that and kind of do it again. So it's very much along the theme of over time things can erode. You know, when John kicked off his program, when was it, John, 2006, 2007? How many the players that are in the business today are changing, they're different. Lots of companies are coming in who don't know what happened in 2006, 2007. So we see very much a need to understand what is each company doing to understand, what is process safety, how do you manage it? And obviously we can recognise there that many companies, Andy's company, we're not going to be running something down Andy's throat. His company's obviously got a plan and a program to have people understand and teach people about asset integrity. But other companies may not be in the same place. So what we want to do is make sure that all the companies in the UK, that at the high level, at the management level, they've got a good understanding and good capability to actually know what to do. And that includes addressing the people side of it. Because Tanya's right, folks are very comfortable with going out and getting an improvement plan that says, I'll fix this pipe and I'll do that seal and I'll do that. The people side of it often goes missing, but it's absolutely critical. So this will also include educating people in some of the things that are out there. But lots of people know that step change and the industry as a whole produces so much more guidance than you can shake a stick at. I mean, there are rafts and rafts and rafts of it. There's so much guidance, and yet lots of it never gets used. So as part of that education, if you will, we'll make some of these tools available. People are aware of these tools, that there are things like mechanical joint integrity, control of work standards, and so on. Now the next piece, and I'm really excited about this, is it says here, map the contribution of the workforce, and we're talking here today about play your part. When John and his guys did this last time, it was aimed at manager level. We want to take it the next level and take this offshore and take it into the engineering organisations and say this is what asset integrity is about. And it's also about people, it's not just about equipment. So it's really upskilling the workforce to have a better level of understanding of what it is. I was talking, there was a guy who worked for me yesterday, and I was going through an incident report, and he said, what's an SCE? I mean, he actually knew what it was, he just didn't know it meant to say, once I put it into his language, he got it. So there's a huge level of education and knowledge that we can get out there that will help. And if people understand what a safety case is and what a safety critical element is and why this is important, then maybe they'll have value for following a procedure or a practice or whatever it is, or not overriding that gas alarm or whatever. So education as a tool to address human factors. So that's that piece. We have the learning and sharing piece, and I'm delighted that Ian here is actually going to be heading up that work group. So we've got a piece there about making more out of SAIDI, and also about the challenge I'll put to everybody is how can you learn from all the things that have happened before. I was saying at the break there, in my career I must have seen 50 incidents and accidents where somebody broke into the wrong thing. They went to the one that they thought was dead, and they were working on the one that was live. They cut into it. And 25 of these and 10 of those, they've all happened. Most of these things, 99.9% of them have happened before. How can we learn from them? How can we learn from what happened on Piper Alpha and make sure that never happens again? That, I think, is the challenge, is how do you embed the continuous learning? And finally, communication and engagement. And the joined up thinking guys are doing a great job there, but clearly what we need to do, once we start working on some of this stuff, is we need to get it out to the workforce, get it out to the industry, so that people can engage in it and understand it. Again, that's a lesson we've learned from the helicopter side of things, so that you'll see on the websites, Step Change website, loads of stuff about what's happening on the helicopter side of things. We want to bring that level of visibility and communication to what we're doing here. Oops. So this is our work breakdown structure of how we're going to get this stuff done. So there will be a smaller steering group that mainly will be made up from the guys who are running work groups. We'll have a work group that's about implementation, and their job is to go out and find out what each company's doing, what their implementation plan is to reduce hydrocarbon leaks, how they can help and cross-transfer, what's missing from that plan. So a few things I've picked up there. So does that plan address human factors? Does it address procedures, or is it all about change pipe A, whatever? So that's what that group is about. The learning and sharing work group is about the better use of SAIDI, the continuous application of past learning. Another thing we've been talking about for a while as well is actually having a session, perhaps a bit smaller than this, but with some of the other industries to see if there's anything we can learn, for example, from nuclear or rail in how they manage major accident hazards. So that's something we're planning for the future. I beg your pardon. And then the developing capability work group, which is all about the refreshing the education in process safety management and taking that offshore and into engineering organisations. So that's how we're going to organise it. A couple of these will be joint work groups where we're going to pull in people with expertise in competence, expertise in human factors, to say how can you help us build these programs. So in terms of the next steps, in fact we've already done number one up there. We've gone through this strategy and these activities with the Step Change leadership team. Today is part of our process of checking in and seeing how does this feel and getting feedback and engagement in what we're planning to do. We're right in the process now of picking work group members and work group leaders. And we've got 3 subgroups, and we've already got 4 guys signed up for that, 2 more waiting, and we've got a bunch of other folks who want to get involved. So we're forming those teams and putting the work plans together is the next step. So we're kind of poised to get after it. I'm really excited actually that we're starting to see it come together, and we've got most of the people in place now. It is all about people at the end of the day. So really that's it. So I think the next piece with Les is looking for your feedback on this, and a big request to, if there's something here that excites you, you want to get involved, get in touch.
Thanks, Alan.